Hello and welcome to Gardening with Ben, the award-winning gardening podcast as voted for by the Grow Your Own magazine and by my followers and by my listeners. I hope that you have all clicked that subscribe button. If you're new to the podcast channel, please do click the subscribe button and then you get notified of all the new podcasts that get launched. And if you're not following me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube and TikTok, make sure you look for Gardening with Ben and follow me on all my social medias. So sit back, relax, grab a brew and let's enjoy today's gardening podcast with Ben. Hello and welcome to Gardening with Ben, the show where we dig deep into the world of gardening and allotments. As the year comes to a close, it's the perfect time to reflect on our gardening journey. Today we'll reminisce about the seeds of knowledge we've planted, the challenges we've weathered, and the bountiful harvest we've enjoyed. From the first sprouts of spring to the last leaves of autumn, we've nurtured our gardens and in turn they've nurtured us. So grab your favourite gardening gloves, settle in, let's explore the growth, the learning and the joy this year has brought to our green spaces. This is Gardening with Ben, where every day is a good day to grow. So that is it. It's the 31st of December. It's the end of the year now, and as our year draws to an end, I'd just like to thank everybody that does support me through all of my social media platforms, through Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and these podcasts. However, when I've looked at how many podcasts I've recorded this year, I have recorded very little, and I do apologise for that immensely because I do like to keep the podcast going, and I've done a rubbish job this year, so I do only apologise for that. But we're planning on doing some good ones this year, so make sure you do hit that subscribe button and we keep you up to date with all our podcasts. And also, I have had 22,000 downloads this year, so you can't say it's not doing bad still. People are still listening to the podcast, so thank you to everybody that does listen to them. And if you're new here, make sure you do give my Instagram a follow and drop me a message and let me know that you're listening to this podcast, as I do like to hear from the people that listen to them. And yeah, so this episode is called Reflecting on a Year in Gardening, and what a year we have had at the plot. And it's not been a good year. Honestly, it's not been a brilliant year whatsoever down at the allotment. And the reason why that goes to happen is because I've not put as much effort in as I would like to have done. One of the main reasons for this goes down to not having my shed to grow my seeds in this year, as like I said, my shed collapsed last year, the end of winter, and I didn't manage to get it rebuilt in time, ready for the springtime, and so I didn't have anywhere to grow all my seeds in, which is a main big factor in growing stuff on my plot. As obviously I've got my polytunnel, but when I grow stuff on the ground in the polytunnel, the rats come in, they eat all the seeds, or the squirrels come in and the mice and everything, and they just nibble at them. Whereas if they're in my shed, they're on the shelving out of the way where the rats can't get hold of them. So that was one of the main factors why I didn't manage to grow much stuff this year, because I didn't have an area to start all the seeds off growing. So one of the things I had to do was buy plants that I'd already started from uh, garden centres and shops, but obviously they're expensive, so I didn't get to buy and purchase many of those. But the ones that I did purchase did grow well. We got some good lettuce, we got some good beetroot growing, and yeah, we got some decent results from the stuff that we did grow. But I didn't manage to grow much at all this year in them terms. But on the fruit side of things, I did manage to grow quite a lot. We got a lot of fruit growing down at the plot. As obviously I've got my fruit trees growing with all them fruits. I've got my apples, I've got my plums, I've got my pears, we've got strawberries, we've got blackberries, we've got raspberries, and they did absolutely fantastic. The amount of pears I had this year and the apples, I did absolutely fantastic. I didn't get many cooking apples this year, but hopefully, fingers crossed, we do get a lot of cooking apples next year. But we have given the trees a massive chop back because they were getting too tall. So we'll see. We'll see if we manage to get some. Fingers crossed we do. Even if we get about 10, 15, I'll be happy with that. It'll make me plenty of apple crumbles to eat. I don't do the cooking. I always give the apples to my mum and the rhubarb, and she does all my cooking for me, which she don't mind. She likes making them. So, and I just stick them in my freezer and then eat them with hot custard, as you would do. So yeah, that's what we've done with the fruit this year, and fingers crossed, we do get a lot of stuff growing next year. I've got a lot of big plans for down at my plot. I want to get back into it. This last year, I've not done much down there at all this year. I didn't grow any pumpkins. I didn't get any courgettes growing. I didn't get no marrows growing. I didn't have no squash growing. Oh, I had sweet corn. We did fantastic with the sweet corn. The sweet corn was absolutely fantastic. And also now I've got an air fryer at home. Um, so I cooked my sweet corn in the air fryer, and wow, did it taste phenomenal or what? It was absolutely delicious. The sweet corn was beautiful, and I'll definitely be growing a lot more sweet corn again next year. Sweet corn is one of the things that I always do plan on growing, and we have a lot of trouble with squirrels down at the allotment. And one of the tips that I always give out for the sweet corn is that when it's getting ready, is to put plastic bottles over the tops of the corn to stop the rats and squirrels from eating them. And that gave me 100% success rate of none of them getting eaten by animals. Other people on the plot had theirs stripped, they had them eaten, they had them gnawed away and stuff like that, whereas all mine all grew fantastic and we had a fantastic crop outcome. So if you have any squirrels or rat issues, put a bottle over the top of the corn when they're nearly ready and you will protect them, because as soon as they start to smell ready, the rats and the squirrels will come along and eat them all. And even if you think, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, they, I've done that before. And next day, they've all been stripped and I've lost every sweet corn cob whatsoever. So yeah, that is my sweet corn. That was fantastic. Absolutely. So we want to get back to growing more stuff again next year. So I'll talk about that in my next episode, my plans for next year. So make sure you stay tuned for that one. Hopefully that one will be coming tomorrow. Hopefully we'll get it recorded for you to listen to. As I say, I'm going to start getting these podcasts published quite regular again and get them back out for you to listen to, because I do know people do miss them and they do like them. I'm surprised how much people do like me waffling on and talking to you all, but people enjoy it while they're gardening. So overall, the last year has been absolutely rubbish down at my plot, apart from fruit, which was absolutely fantastic. Um, I have got some issues with my polytunnel. We might have to replace the skin. I'm I keep taping it up, but the tape keeps coming off again when it gets really windy. And we're getting a lot of storms at the moment, and there's some more storms on the way, so we've got to be prepared for them. But fingers crossed, we do get some good stuff growing in the polytunnel. I'm going to be growing my tomatoes again next year. Uh, yes, I forgot to mention my tomatoes. My tomatoes did fantastic this year. I keep thinking of different things as I'm talking. But what we did with tomatoes this year, rather than buy the actual seeds in the packets of seeds, I thought, I know what, I'm going to go to the supermarket. I've seen it all over social media. People going to the supermarket, starting the seeds off from tomatoes and getting fantastic crops. Whether it was just a clickbait thing, I don't know. But I tried it I got some a punnet of mixed small tomatoes. They were yellow, orange, and red, like cherry-sized ones. And I'd seen, rather than dry them out, just scoop the seeds straight out, put them in the soil, and let them grow. So that's what I did. And if by magic all of the seeds grew, I got absolutely tons of plants growing from the seeds. They did fantastic. They grew really well, and the yellow ones tasted absolutely beautiful. So if you wanted to grow some tomatoes next year, go to Tesco's and get the multi-pack of different variety tomatoes. They like the plum ones, the yellow ones, the orange ones, and the red cherry ones. And just use some of them and scoop them out into subsoil and start them growing. And I grew them all outside. I didn't grow them in the polytunnel because my polytunnel was out of action last year. We grew them all outside and we had some fantastic results for them. And they were just amazing, absolutely amazing. So I'm sticking to that trick next year. I might even try it with peppers rather than buying seeds from the shops for the peppers. I'm just going to buy a pepper and scoop the seeds out and try it that way, because you get more seeds in a pepper than you do in a packet of seeds, which are more expensive. So we're going to try that. So make sure you stay tuned for that and see how we get on. It's a lot cheaper buying the vegetable and taking the seeds out and doing it that way rather than actually buying the packets of seeds sometimes. So make sure you have a look and give that a try and see what you can do. See if you can get stuff growing from seeds from the actual plants in the supermarkets. I don't know if I'd try it with cucumbers or not. I grow a Market More variety of cucumbers rather than the Telegraph ones usually, and they don't have the Market More ones in the supermarkets. So we'll give them a miss probably. But yeah, I'm going to try a few different things from the supermarket, take the seeds out and try growing them from them. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And hopefully we're going to try some different varieties of stuff next year as well. So like I said, stay tuned for the next episode and we'll talk about that more in detail. I do need to get a seed catalogue to have a look at some things to try and grow. So make sure you click that subscribe button and then you'll get notified when new episodes come up. And yeah, thank you for tuning back again. I'm glad to be back doing these podcasts. I think we've had more podcasts in the last few days than we have over the year. But yeah, let's try and get a lot of episodes out next year. Let's try and get this podcast channel back up and running to how it used to be. And I know people used to love it. And I've got a new app now to give me ideas on suggestions for podcast ideas and stuff like that, which I've been using. And I've been using it to write the beginning bit of the podcast. If you've enjoyed that entrance bit when I'm talking about the introduction. But yeah, hopefully we're going to get this podcast booming and lots of listeners in. So if you've enjoyed it, please do click that subscribe button. Send me a message on Instagram and stay tuned. And until next time, remember, keep smiling, keep shining, and keep gardening with Ben, everybody. Thank you for listening to today's Gardening with Ben's podcast. I hope that you've enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do click that subscribe button and feel free to share it as well on your Instagram stories. All you have to do if you're listening on Spotify is click the share button and you can share it straight to your Instagram story for all your followers to listen to and help build my listeners up as well and get more people listening to it. Feel free to check out all my social medias, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube and TikTok. Yes, I'm on TikTok. Go check it out. Check out my dancing. Gardening with Ben. And check out the link as well in the description of this podcast where you can check out my gardening t-shirt shop where I sell funny t-shirts with all different funny logos and designs on. And feel free to support me by purchasing one, and all the money obviously goes back into my allotment where I can share more gardening tips with you all. So until next time, remember, keep smiling, keep gardening, and keep listening to Gardening with Ben's podcasts.